A controversy began with the judgment of Supreme Court on electoral bond. A political section has claimed it to be the instrument of ending corrupt practices from Indian politics, while others have declared it to be the state-operated legal mechanism of extortion and thus the biggest scandal in history of Indian politics. Both the sections have their cause to support and oppose the electoral bonds, and in this video, we will try to present an unbiased picture of the scenario, so that you can draw your own conclusion in favor or against the electoral bonds.
दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा एक्सटॉर्शन रैकेट हिंदुस्तान की सरकार चला रही है।
इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड ये भारतीय राजनीति में से काला धन समाप्त करने के लिए लाया गया।
In 2017, late Mr. Arun Jaitley, the then finance minister, introduced electoral bonds via the Finance Act of 2016-17. These electoral bonds were an interest-free bearer bonds or money instruments, and it can be purchased by any company or individual from authorized branches of SBI to make donation to political parties. And there was no limit as of how much money and how many bonds a company or individual can buy or donate. But not all political parties were eligible to avail this benefit. It was available only for those political parties that secured at least 1% of votes polled in recent Lok Sabha or state assembly elections and are registered under RPA. And there was one more clause, that if a party to whom such donations were made through electoral bonds does not encash them within 15 days, then such donation will automatically get deposited to Prime Minister Relief Fund. So briefly, this is what the electoral bond was. Now let's discuss the second aspect of it. What was the contention raised before Supreme Court against electoral bonds, and what were the points or reasons on which Supreme Court has declared electoral bonds as unconstitutional? So, on 15th of February 2024, a 5-judges constitutional bench led by Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud anonymously struck down the electoral bond scheme of government on the ground that electoral bond infringes the voters' right of information under 19(1)(a) of the Constitution to exercise the freedom of voting rights in effective manner. Well, there were two major issues before Supreme Court. First, whether unlimited corporate funding to political parties infringes the principle of free and fair election, and second, whether anonymity embedded in the electoral bond scheme violates voters' right to information. On first issue, Supreme Court focused primarily on the principle of quid pro quo, which says something for something. So Supreme Court asked whether the elected representatives and parties would be responsible to incentivize those companies and individuals who had donated money in their favor. Chief Justice further held that the unlimited contribution by companies to political parties is antithetical to free and fair elections, because it allows certain persons and companies to wield their clout and resources to influence policy making. And giving those companies this unrestrained influence is a violation of value of one person and one vote. Finally, court held corporate funding arbitrary for three reasons. First, because it considered the donation given by individuals and companies alike. Second, because it treats loss-making and profit-making companies alike for the purpose of donation. And third, because it allows the unregulated corporate interference in free and fair election by unlimited and uncapped donation. Whereas on second issue, Supreme Court held that voters' right to access the information about electoral funding is essential for making their voting choices, and thus curtailing this essential information in pretext of saving the privacy of the donor is infringement of voters' right to information. Now let's evaluate and analyze the claims made by two sides in favor or against the electoral bonds. So first set of people are those who are claiming it to be the fair means of donation. They have their four primary reasons. First, that electoral bonds used to provide anonymity to the name of donor thus secures him from political pressures, and so a company or individual can make donations of his choice without being worried about other political parties. Second, that it would end the formation of shell companies for the purpose of donation to political parties. And third, that the main purpose of electoral bond is to curb black money in electoral financing, and that can only be achieved if electoral fundings will happen through banking channels. And fourth, that the information about financial contributors to political parties is not disclosed to protect the contributors' privacy regarding political affiliation. Now let's take the arguments of those who had declared it to be the mechanism of extortion, and they are raising these 4 points against electoral bonds. First, that the anonymity of donors may potentially foster corruption and favoritism in politics. Second, that it is the infringement of voters' right to information. Third, that electoral bonds facilitates and secures the channel for money laundering. And fourth, that government is using electoral bond as a mechanism to obtain money by threatening corporates by using ED and other state machineries. Now let's finally evaluate the effect of electoral bonds among the voters, whether it could affect the voters of BJP or not. And that depends on two possibilities. First, that the common voter in ground zero is not concerned about the manner in which political funding is made. Even in some cases, voter is not even aware about the technicalities of electoral bond, as of how it works and what it is. So there isn't much hope for opposition to gain votes on this point. As in 2019, Congress and opposition has tried to conceive votes by raising questions against Rafale deal, but they drastically failed. And the reason was the inability of transition of message to the voter. Second, that the political parties of opposition needs to raise the question in a manner that it could depict a major flaw at the part of BJP, which they do not seem to achieving as of now. So, in sum, BJP does not seem to lose vote due to electoral bonds, and as of now, it doesn't seem to be the central objective of voters while making up votes in 2024 general election. Well, whether electoral bonds were the results of fair or corrupt practices, that we do not know. But we have tried to present the unbiased picture of the whole political and legal scenario. Now it's up to you to make your opinion. And if you think this video adds even a little bit on your legal and political insight, then you may like and subscribe the channel. And do not forget to mention your opinion in the comment box about the electoral bond and political scenario. Thank you.